Hello, MLB Showdown community. I'm your guru, Colby Talifus, and this is our Play for the Card segment. By the way, I'm doing fantastic and extra fluffy today, so I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't know how much longer we're going to be keeping it, but we will have it. Today for our Play for the Card segment, we're going to spotlight cards for the 2012 season, and we're going to spotlight a position last year which was a super strength, which was the center field class. If you scroll down and look at the charts, you can see some absolute monsters, with Granderson, Camp Ellsbury among some of the best cards ever made in the Showdown class at that position. This year will it be any better? We're going to see. I don't know if it could possibly top it, but first we're going to take some questions from you, our viewers. First, Ronan84 said that we haven't really been spotlighting pitchers a lot, and he wanted one of his hometown boys, so he wants me to spotlight Chris Sale. Chris is in the top 10 in ERA, and guys in the top 10 end up being custom-made according to our rules. So, there's no exact formula. One, we're assuming he's going to hold that position. So for the sixth position, first thing we'll do is look at last year. That was Vogelsong had the sixth position. He was a 3, 1-18, who only pitched 5 innings. I think that's also a very fair assumption that he may also be a very similar player to Sale in that regards. Usually there's a better 3 and a worse 3. Last year it was Cliff Lee was the better of the two. So assuming Chris Sale is the worse of 2 3s is not a bad assumption. Either way, he's going to be a good card. Being in the top 10 ERA always ends up making him a very fun card. It may not be good for people who don't particularly like low numbers and high outs, but either way, he'll be a good player if he ends up with being in the top 10 ERA. B. Nelson ended up asking us for 2 players this week, but I want to congratulate him first on being the first player to be moved up to AA according to our point system. If you don't know about that, please read about it in our Last Shots Friday post. We're trying to get players more involved, and people who do that end up getting more rewards. So B. Nelson is our first player to be promoted to AA, on his way to getting his pro card. The first player he asked for was Josh Hamilton, a player who's had some great cards in the past. Today, as we look at him, he ended up having a bad day today, 0 for 5, which brought him down. Currently, he's an 8. He'd be an 18 to 20 if he doesn't hit another home run for the rest of the year, which those of us who follow him feel like that's very possible, but he also could have a 4 home run game. So he's an 18 to 20 if he doesn't hit another one, but good news, for every 5 home runs he does hit, he'll get a home run on his chart, assuming he stays as an 8. He's always a good card because he doesn't walk a lot. He gets a lot of hits, a lot of extra base hits, even though his doubles are down this year. And B. Nelson also asked for his running mate, Craig Gentry, the other guy who will play center field for the Rangers. Both these guys will qualify because of how many games they end up playing in center field. Gentry right now has the on base to be a 10, but he doesn't have the at-bats. He likely won't make the 400 minimum at-bats. We put a 400 minimum out there so that we don't end up with Terry Shumperts of the world. And by doing that, he's likely going to be dropped down to a 9. He'll be a speed A. He likely won't homer. For this reason, he's going to be one of those prototypical leadoff hitters that a lot of us like. He's a very good fielder. I don't know if he'll get a +3, but he is a very good fielder, known for his defense. He can be a very useful player because he is very fast and not very powerful, which a lot of us like. One of our pros, at EddieZone44, you can follow him on Twitter, he always wants me to spotlight Andrew McCutchen, and for good reason. Andrew McCutchen just passed David Wright this week to be one of the 211s, which is absolutely phenomenal because McCutchen is likely a +20 speed. He's likely going to be a 19 to 20 homer as an 11 with an 18 triple, 16 to 17 double, and 15 single plus if he keeps up the similar pace and if he can keep that 11. If he gets dropped down to the 10, it'll change up a little bit, but it'll only be good. McCutchen's having a great year, and great years always get great cards. So the guy who had a great card last year was Matt Kemp. He's been derailed because of injuries, but been pretty productive while he's been in. He's been a little bit cool lately. He's on pace right now to be a 10 speed A, 18 to 20, with a couple of doubles. The question is whether now he's going to stay healthy and get to those minimums to keep him as a 10, and whether or not he can get back hot and maybe give himself a chance at that 17 to 20 home run, which would really put him in some elite category. I don't know. He made me a promise that one day he would go 50-50. That may not be this year because of the injuries. Likely won't unless he gets super hot, which I would be thrilled about. But we're excited because I think he's just going to be a productive player, and that always yields good cards again. A guy who's also been productive, but again, under the minimums, it tends to be a theme here in center field, I don't know why, is Ruggiano out of Miami. He has somewhere in like the 150 at-bat range, so he's going to need to really get his at-bats up if he wants to be a 10. But if he stays low, he could be as low as an 8 and be a really solid 8, 18 to 20, low out because he's going to be being cut down. Because of that, it'll be a 1 to 2 out. That's what we do to players who we cut down for minimums. They're 1 to 2 outs. Again, good player, adding good depth to the class and adding more solid players up at the top. A guy who's absolutely come on the scene like a house on fire is Mike Trout. A lot of you guys, I think, are interested to see how he'll do as a rookie. A good comparison to him right now is going to be Jacoby Ellsbury from last year. The big difference is he steals more, and he has the potential to maybe even have another triple on that chart, which could put him up in that 600-point range, which as a rookie would be phenomenal. I think the kid's playing great. I hope he continues to play great, play great defense, and put out a fantastic card. A guy who's usually been pretty productive for us from the center field position and been very useful because of his talents is actually starting to make me mad, and this is Dexter Fowler. A guy who's known for his speed and is relatively good on base. This year decided he's going to hit too many home runs, actually. By putting that 20 home run on his chart, he kind of changes how he works as a showdown player. I don't know if he's a budgetable leadoff hitter anymore. Those of you who play with single teams, though, and end up playing with the Rockies would actually love to use him as a leadoff hitter where the points don't matter so much. But for those of us who do play in draft settings and with salary caps, his home run totals are actually starting to very much bug us. So Dexter Fowler is working his way to a very unusable fast card. But either way, congratulations on the good year, Dexter. I hope you don't hit any more home runs next year. And now to the guy who maybe had the freakiest chart and card last year was Curtis Granderson. His home run totals are up. Right now, if he doesn't homer again, he's an 8, 18 to 20, very similar to Hamilton. He will have a triple on his chart, which Hamilton has not earned quite yet. The big question for me with Granderson, which I think he could do, is if he can get to that 45 home run number and up his home runs from last year. He's not going to have the extra base hits. The triples are down, the doubles are down. His stolen bases are even down. So that's not going to be there. So can he get to that 45 to make himself a little different, a little more powerful, a little bit more useful for us? And then one last player I want to spotlight, just as, and there's so many great ones in center field. We all know that. I'm leaving off good players. But I'm going to spotlight Adam Jones. Right now, I just want to say this about Adam Jones. He is a 7. And I know a lot of us don't even look that low on the charts. But if he doesn't get another hit but maintains his 7 on base, he will be an 18 to 20 homer, 17 triple, 14 to 16 double, 13 single plus. If he doesn't do anything else statistically but maintains his on base. Those are phenomenal numbers, and every one of those could easily go up by 1. So if he was a 17 to 20 with 2 triples and 4 doubles, we're talking about a very freakish 7 card. I know a lot of us don't look that low on the charts, but that's always a useful player whenever you end up with somebody with that kind of extra base hits. It's always a good option to have, always somebody who might end up saving you in really big leagues. Next week we're going to be focusing on corner outfielders, so there's a lot of good options. There's a little bit of a resurgence in the corner outfield. If you guys could just put comments about who you would like me to spotlight. Remember that you guys will get slightly rewarded if you focus on your guys, plus you get a little bit of a shout out, and I'll go a little bit more into detail for you for that. Thank you guys for viewing us. Remember to play for the card.